The following is a Thorpe TV production brought to you in cooperation with Jack Thorfinson. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time once again for the SOCS Show, brought to you live from the Pecos Painty Ranch way up north near the Canadian border. Let's have a big round of applause, because here he comes, direct from the bar, Mr. Holster! I guess such a fuss. Mr. Holster. Why doesn't he just go, oh, Mr. Holster, hey, that's me. Howdy, Parge, yeah, it's me, Mr. Holster. And Jack. Let's see what Jack got out tonight. Wow, Jack, this is new. Stone Hop Revolver IPA. Rotating single hop series. Well, you should have gotten a single action out instead of that match champion yours there, Jack. It says it's single. Let's see what it says. The aim of this experimental hop eccentric series is to demonstrate just how dramatically a single hop can impact a beer. We're going to periodically fire off a variety of single hopped variations of this IPA for some good brewing fun. Empty the bright tank with one. Empty the bright tank with one. What the hell does that mean, Jack? Seriously, what are they talking about here? Anybody out there at Stone Brewery, explain that one to me. Yeah, it eludes me the meaning of that sentence there. Reload it with another batch, rinse, reload. Repeat. We invite you to enjoy along with us. I don't know. I'm kind of lost on that. I'm not that big of a. I don't know anything about brewings. I don't know what that means, Jack. What has this got in it, Jack? 7.7% alcohol by volume. Well, this is going to be a fun one, Jack. I don't know if I can have two of these, though. I think we're kind of stretching the envelope. At any rate, here it is. Let's let you see it. Kind of looks like Satan's on the front of it, Jack. Yeah, I think that's Lucifer. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Maybe just a gargoyle. Not really sure what that is. Well, let's pop the top on this one, as Machine Gun Kelly says. My problem is, where's our top popper, Jack? Yeah. We'll use this. This is fitting. Well, maybe not. It's Schlitz, the beer that made Milwaukee famous. I don't know what they're famous for nowadays, but we'll pop the top on this one, as Machine Gun Kelly would say, with this thing. There we go. I'll let you see the cap. That's kind of interesting. There's something on the inside, too. I don't know what it says. Oh, yeah. You can actually smell it on that one. Okay. Let's pour it in the old ranch beer glass. Oh, geez, Jack, come on. The shot glasses were one thing, but this is a big glass. You should watch it once in a while, shouldn't you? West Texas dust. Spit it out. Spit it out. Looks good, Jack. It really does. Thank you very much, sir. Ready, guys? Because here we go. to the sunny slopes of long ago. That doesn't heat you up and cool you down all at the same time. Yeah, kind of an odd flavor though, Jack. Interesting. That's 5 minutes and 31 seconds of Ebomi's life I've used up that he'll never get back again. Okay, here we go. As Jack says, you're not drunk if you can lie on the floor without holding on. I told Jack you can't buy happiness, and Jack said, no, but you can sure pour it. I had a scare last night. I woke up to the feeling of 4 legs. That's the last time I go to bed on my bar stool. When I was a kid, we were at the beach. I got separated from my folks. I found a cop and asked him if he could help me find my parents. And he looked at me and said, gee, I don't know, kid. There's so many places they could hide. I told Jack the problem with this country is we spend more money on whiskey than we do on education. And Jack said, yeah, but you learn so much from a bartender. I have a good friend who is a glass blower. He lives in Italy. And the other day he was blowing a vase and he inhaled. Now when he walks, everybody hears him tinkle. I moved into a bad part of town when I was a kid. I walked up to a cop and asked him how far it was to the subway. He said, I don't know, kid. Nobody's made it yet. I just want to let everyone know that after last week's show, Jack and I got the Good Housekeeping seal of approval taken away from us. Yeah, there you go. There's my good monologue, Jack. Yeah. No, don't let me disturb you. It's only in the middle of the show. You go ahead and sleep. He's been dating gals like crazy. I think he's, hitting the juice a little hard. Jack? 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 Jack! Seriously, we're doing a show here, all right? It's the SOCS show. This is your channel and your concept. Come on. This is what we're talking about tonight, kind of to tie in. If I'd read the bottle, I would have realized I should have a single action revolver. But we got Jack's revolver, and we can segue into the fact that it can't be used that way anymore. Yeah, we got Jack's match champion here, and if you've followed my show for a long time, you know this was mine for a while. When Jack lost my truck in that, he really didn't lose it. Well, he lost it gambling technically, but he sold to somebody for $27.50 so he could buy more pull tabs down at the VFW. Yeah, and he lost the $27.50, and yeah, that went on for a long time, and he gave me this as a security for the loss of the truck, and yeah. Well, I gave it back to him when he gave me his Vepr to sell. 357 Magnum, and I got this out. I asked Jack if I could get it out because I want to talk about this gun in particular tonight and Ruger. And the Ruger revolvers versus the Smith & Wessons, because it's kind of an interesting subject of conversation. I'd like to hear your thoughts down below in the comments section. And I'm going to put this down just because it's been a long day and I'm kind of tired. This is what I want to talk about on this. The Ruger revolvers, they started out in the double action revolvers, which, yeah, let's get this back out and talk about that real quick. This is a double action revolver. You can cock it by the use of the spur of the hammer, cock it back, and then it becomes a single action trigger pull. Jack has modified his into double action only. So the only way to fire this gun is to pull the trigger. You can't cock it first and then pull the trigger. You're just pulling the trigger all the way through, double action only. It has no full cock notch. You can't cock this hammer. All you can do is pull the trigger. So it is no longer a single action as the reference on the bottle of this beer. So what I want to talk about, now that we got that over with, what I want to talk about was the first double action revolvers that were brought out by Ruger were the Security 6, Speed 6, Police Service 6. And when they put those aside and came out with the new models, they did that for a reason. And one of the reasons, I think, well, I shouldn't say that because, yeah, I shouldn't say that, what I was going to say. I was going to say one of the reasons is to make them lesser expensive to produce by putting a new kind of grip on there. But I'm not so sure about that because I'm not so sure that it really saves them that much money. It may just be more that it was, well, I'm not really sure why, frankly. They just wanted the grip frame to be entirely encompassed, maybe, for some reason. I don't know why they did that. That's been one of my pet peeves about them. I've never liked that. That being said, they made dramatic improvements to the firearm, and the improvements were on the lockup of the cylinder, and they beefed up the frame a little bit, and they made the gun stronger. And in 357 Magnum, the match champion, if you're looking for a 357 Magnum, I don't think there's a firearm out there that can improve upon the match champion. Now, that being said, let's go to the Smith & Wesson. The Smith & Wesson has really changed a great deal over the same time span from the mid-70s till now on how they build their revolvers. They were built in a fashion that was much more refined than the Rugers and took a lot more labor intensive, and really were built to far better specifications. And one of the reasons was they had things like a pin barrel, a recessed cylinder. All the components were milled from block steel. What Ruger did is they brought out their, and Jack, we should have gotten one of the, well, we only have one now. We should have gotten the Police Service 6 out, Jack, to show, but what Ruger did when he brought his firearms out is he used investment castment parts that didn't require as much work to make them a finished product to fit, and they were far less expensive. The frame was an investment casting instead of milled out of a solid piece of steel. See? And they didn't have pin barrels. They were just turned in, and that was all there was to it. A lot of things were lesser expensive about the Rugers, but over the years, those Security 6s have held up just fine, you see. And if you look at Smith & Wesson over the years and what they've done with those revolvers, they've changed things. Like they quit recessing the cylinder, which Ruger never recessed the cylinder. And by recess the cylinder, I'm talking about right here, they actually milled it out to recess for the head of the cartridge in the cylinder at Smith & Wesson, and Ruger never did it. They just made a larger gap between the frame and the cylinder. See, Smith & Wesson then, in order to reduce their cost, quit doing that. Smith & Wesson then, in order to reduce their cost, quit pinning the barrels and just turned them in. Smith & Wesson over the years, in order to reduce their costs, started using MIM or cast parts. So now you have a point. And I want to put a disclaimer right here that I'm not saying Smith & Wesson is garbage because of how they do things nowadays. But that being said, you are now at a point where the things that Smith & Wesson were set way far above Ruger for. Not so much anymore. They're on an even keel because Smith & Wesson is using a lot of MIM parts. And I wouldn't be surprised if the MIM parts are coming from India, because I know there are other manufacturers out there that use a lot of India MIM parts. So the point of what I'm trying to say is Ruger over the years has actually improved the quality of their firearms. The changes they made to the GP100, and then they brought out the SP101, which is another 5-shot cylinder, a different gun than they didn't have anything like that before. But the GP100 is the successor of the Security 6, and they actually improved the way it was built, with the one exception where the grip no longer just fits on the grip frame. The grip frame is now just a little U-shaped loop here, and the grip goes over it, which it's probably cheaper, but I don't know whether or not that was the motivation to do it. But that being said, yeah, I like that because I'm an old guy. I like the old style, and the grip panels just go on it. But that being said, if you look at the overall quality, the components are the same as they were with that. They're investment casting or they're milled out of steel. Nothing changed. They just improved. It's just an enhanced model, except for the grip frame, and that's debatable. It's an enhanced model off the Security 6. See? Where if you look at a Smith & Wesson, I don't think there's anybody out there that will tell me you can go buy a current model 19 Smith & Wesson and it's as good as the model that was made in 1972. You see what I'm saying? There you go. There's the SOCS show for tonight. Right, Jack? Well, it's good to see your heads up at least. Hey, he likes Rugers a lot, so yeah, you're probably paying attention because of that, right? Yeah, pretty much. There you go. There's a SOCS show for tonight, and that's 18 minutes pretty much of your life you'll never, ever, ever get back again, listening to Mr. Holster talk about Smith & Wessons and Rugers and drink a beer that, Jack, I think this is fairly expensive, but, you know, personally, I don't think it's any better than the far lesser expensive, and this comes back to Smith & Wesson and Ruger, the far lesser expensive Jack Imperial IPA that I like so much. Yeah. Yeah, I think pretty much. I don't know who the Stone Brewery people are, but not saying this is bad. I'm just saying that I think the Rhinelander Imperial Jack IPA, double IPA is, yeah, just as good. Yeah, it's probably better. Well, there you go. Now that I talked about that, that's 18 minutes and 45 seconds of your life you'll never get back again. From Mr. Holster and Jack, go out and stay safe. Yeah, I'm not too sure about this stuff, Jack. Seriously. Yeah, I really am not.